Manchester United given the green light by PSG to complete Manuel Ugarte deal. Erik ten Hag apparently directly in talks with La Liga star, plus the latest on Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, and also Aaron Wan-Bissaka. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning's live show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on today's show. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6 p.m. UK time. So make sure you get involved for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Right, let's get straight on into it then, shall we? Because there is so much to cover on this morning's show. And I want to start the show off by asking you a question. I always like to try and make the shows interactive. I always like to see what other Manchester United fans have to say. So the question I've got for you today is this. Would you rather, it's a would you rather question. We could either sign Sofyan Amrabat for £12 million. That's apparently what Fiorentina are asking for him. Or we can sign Manuel Ugarte for £38 million. Manuel Ugarte is 23. Sofyan Amrabat is 27. Who would you go for? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know which would be your preference. Obviously, there's a massive gap in valuation between the two players, one being 12 and one being 38. So obviously factor that into your decision. We know that Manchester United don't have a ridiculous amount of money to spend this season. It's relatively limited. So let me know in the comment section who you would go for, Ugarte for 38 or Sofyan Amrabat for 12 million. Always like to see what other United fans have to say, so make sure you get involved. But yeah, starting on Sofyan Amrabat then. So the headline this morning is that apparently Manchester United are expected to make a decision on Sofyan Amrabat by next week. This was reported by Fabrizio Romano in the last couple of days. Apparently Fiorentina are asking for £12 million for the player, which let's be honest is an absolute bargain. 27 years of age. I think he was very, very good at the tail end of the season. Notable performances against teams like Brighton, Newcastle. I think he was very good against Arsenal, although we did lose that game. And obviously he was very, very good in the FA Cup final against Manchester City. So yeah, I think for me personally, Sofyan Amrabat is a really, really interesting profile player. Is he world class? No, but is he of the level of Manchester United, at least for a squad depth? I think so, yeah. But I don't know whether we'll get both of them. That's the question. Will we be able to get both Sofyan Amrabat and Manuel Ugarte? I don't know. And do we need both of them? Because if Casemiro doesn't go, then we probably don't. If Casemiro stays, I think Amrabat or Ugarte would be enough. But if Casemiro is obviously sold this summer, which we do expect to happen, we will need to bring in two central defensive midfielders, which will most likely be Amrabat and Ugarte, because realistically, we're not going to get João Neves from Benfica. We're not going to pay £100 million for one player. Like, that's simply just not going to happen. And the stories as well this morning are apparently PSG, once they sell Manuel Ugarte to Manchester United, they want to then go and spend that money on João Neves from Benfica. So I think João Neves to Benfica is effectively done at this point. There's also murmurs this morning that apparently Liverpool are interested in João Neves. So yeah, we'll have to obviously keep you updated on that one as and when we get more news. But as it stands at the point of recording this video, the latest on Sofyan Amrabat is that we should get an answer by the end of this week. That's what's being reported by Fabrizio Romano. A deal is available there for £12 million. Let's do a poll on Sofyan Amrabat, shall we, and see what people think about that. Oh, God. Let's do a little poll on Sofyan Amrabat, shall we, quickly. Should United sign Amrabat for 12 million? And just as well, just a quick heads up, I've had to do my videos a little bit earlier yesterday and today because I had to go to the hospital yesterday morning, and today I'm gonna be out all day from about an hour. I'm going out for a walk, but from tomorrow onwards, it's 8:30 is my usual time. 8:30, 1:30 and 6 are my usual video times. But on the weekend, it kind of gets a little bit messed up. I don't know what times I'll be live later as well. Obviously, England are playing. I'm going out for a walk all day. So there will be videos later, but it might be a little bit sporadic. So back tomorrow, it'll be 8:30. But on the weekends, it always kind of gets a little bit messed up, obviously, just because of, people have lives and stuff. And yeah. But You can get involved in the poll that I've just set up. Should Manchester United sign Sofyan Amrabat for £12 million? Always keen to see what other Man United fans have to say. So get involved in that. And also let me know in the comment section if you had to pick between Sofyan Amrabat for £12 million and Manuel Ugarte for 38, which one do you go for? I'm going to kind of cheat by answering this. I'm going to say this. Sell Casemiro and bring in Amrabat and Ugarte. Get both of them, because I think you can probably get 40 to 50 million for Casemiro, right? Which should then allow us to spend, if we get 40, 50 million, right? It should then allow us to get both Amrabat and Ugarte. It should allow us to get both of them. So yeah, that's what I would do personally, but obviously you can let me know in the comment section. If I had to pick one of the two players and there wasn't the option for both, it's a really hard one. Because obviously Ugarte is younger. Ugarte probably has a higher ceiling. He probably is the better player, but he's going to cost 3 times the amount of money. So if we had to pick between one or the other and Casemiro was staying, I would probably go with Amrabat, just because I think we need to spend the money in other areas. And then maybe next summer you go and spend big money on a world-class CDM. Maybe, that would probably be my plan. But in an ideal world, as I said, you'd sell Casemiro and bring in both Manuel Ugarte and Amrabat. And I think that really does take our midfield up a whole nother level. But again, you can let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. Let's move over to the facts about Manuel Ugarte then. So the story this morning coming out from Manchester Evening News is that Manchester United have apparently been granted the green light from PSG to complete the Manuel Ugarte transfer. Obviously, Uruguay played their last game of the Copa America last night. They beat Canada on penalties. I still can't get my head around why they bother doing a third place, knockout round in the Copa America. It makes no sense to me. They stopped doing it in the Euros. I think they stopped doing it in the World Cup. But yeah, who really wants a third place medal? I'm sorry. Even a second place medal, you see all the players walking up to get their medals and they all take it off. No one wants to finish second, do they? Why would you want to finish third? But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. Welcome to Zama, who's just joined the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you very much for your support, mate. I really, really do appreciate it. If you do want to join the Members Club, get a badge next to your name. Obviously, it supports the channel and I would really, really appreciate it. I'll drop a link into the chat to do that now. And everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour and smash a like on today's show. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for today's video. So if everybody who's watching could go and like the video right now, I would really, really appreciate that. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel as well. We hit 29k subscribers last night, which is absolutely amazing. Just a reminder, I am going to be giving away 2 of the new Manchester United shirts when we hit 30k subscribers. So if this is your first time watching, please do go and subscribe. It's completely free content, doesn't cost any money. Make sure to get involved. But yes, welcome Zama to the Daily Red Devil Members Club. And he also says, I love your content. Thank you for your updates. No problem at all. And thank you for being part of this community. I really, really do appreciate it. So yeah, Manuel Ugarte, we've been given the green light by PSG. He's apparently spoke to Erik ten Hag. He's apparently agreed personal terms with Manchester United. He's really, really keen to come. He's not really had the game time that he probably would have hoped for at PSG, obviously with the emergence of Zaire Emery. I kind of compare Zaire Emery to Kobbie Mainoo in the sense that a year ago, nobody really knew who Zaire Emery was. 18 years of age, central midfielder. And within the space of a year, he's gone from the PSG under-21s to starting every single game for PSG. And he's in the French national team as well. Crazy. Literally just like Kobbie Mainoo. This time last season, he was playing for the PSG under-19s, and now he's in the PSG first team. So it's a little bit unfortunate for Manuel Ugarte that he signed for PSG for big money. He was going to be there, the future of their midfield. But instead, they've kind of just pulled someone through from their youth academy, and Vitinha and Zaire Emery are PSG's kind of starting midfielders now. So I don't think we should look at this situation as if Ugarte is some sort of flop or whatever. That's not the case at all. It really, really isn't. It's more of a case of this just unfortunate timing for him. So yeah, we've been given the green light. Hopefully, Manchester United can get this deal agreed this week. Obviously, as I said, Ugarte is no longer with the Uruguay squad. They've all gone home now. I have been told that all of the players, though, apparently this is some sort of like legal rule, that they all have to have 3 weeks break from the point of when they played their last game. I guess it's just to kind of revitalize, let their mental state get back to a normal level. Like, yeah, so if we did sign Ugarte this week, he probably wouldn't be part of the America preseason tour, I doubt, because I think we set off in like 2 weeks' time. So it's a little bit annoying. And obviously I said this many times before when people have been getting frustrated with me in the comment section about a lack of transfers. And I've told them that effectively the Euros and the Copa America have completely messed up this transfer window for a lot of clubs, especially for the teams that have got further into the competition. And we have to remember that 3 of our main signings were all part of the Euros and the Copa America. Ugarte, obviously, with Uruguay, and De Ligt and Zirkzee with the Netherlands. If this was a normal transfer window, we probably would have confirmed those deals like a month ago when the transfer window first opened, But obviously, it is what it is, isn't it? And every team's in that same situation. It's not like Liverpool have signed 5 players and we've signed no one. We are doing deals. I know it feels slow, but I've said this before. I think Manchester United are doing deals in a more methodical way. I think they're taking their time about it. They're doing their due diligence in advance. They're looking at the market. They're actually properly thinking about it. They're not like headless chickens, running into the lights. So yeah, I'm actually quite glad at the pace that things are going, and I feel pretty confident that with the new team, that they're assembling, I think we should be good going forward. I do. I feel positive at the moment, and I feel like most of the fan base do feel positive in the way that Manchester United is going. Let's see what people are saying in the comments section this morning. Zama says that I think Erik ten Hag is going to play a 3-4-2-1 next season. Yeah, I've heard lots of people saying that because I don't see any other reason why he would want to sign 3 centre-backs, It doesn't really make a lot of sense otherwise. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens in relation to this 3-4-2-1. Obviously, we've got our first pre-season game tomorrow. People probably forgot. Football is back tomorrow. We play Rosenborg tomorrow. I think it's a 5 p.m. kickoff. I might do a watch-along for it. If you want me to do a watch-along, let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, 5 o'clock tomorrow, we play our first pre-season game, and it'll be very interesting to see what formation we line up with. It'll be interesting to see what players are available. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Football is back. Obviously, we've got the Euros final tonight, which obviously I'll be watching. And then tomorrow, we've got the first pre-season game. So that's really, really positive. Salah says, I've emailed you. Yeah, I'll have a look after the video, mate. Thank you very much. Let's see what else we've got. Somebody says, I think you're downplaying how good Ugarte is. The narrative out there is that Ugarte is not technical. That guy will completely change our midfield. I'll be honest, mate. I don't really watch a lot of French football, but what I've seen of Ugarte at the Copa America, I think he looks really, really good. And I'm really, really excited to see what Ugarte would be like at Manchester United. I think Ugarte and Amrabat would be quality. If we could bring both of those in and let Casemiro go, one, we save 350k a week in wages. That's what Casemiro is currently earning. And 2, I think we're bringing in 2 more younger options. I think Casemiro's legs do seem to have gone a little bit. I can't remember who it was, but a pundit said that Casemiro looked like he was playing in a charity match. I mean, that's the biggest insult that you could possibly give, isn't it? And I'm not going to lie, when I was watching Casemiro in some games last season, it did feel like it was, one of those Soccer Aid matches or one of those Sidemen matches or something. And that's literally the biggest insult you can have, really. So maybe it was just one bad season for Casemiro. Maybe he'll come back next year and be better. It's impossible to say. But once the season starts, you're stuck with him, innit? If the season starts and he doesn't do very well, then there's not really too much you can do about it. So yeah, Ugarte, I think talks will really advance this week. That's what's being reported on Manchester Evening News this morning. We've been given the green light, personal terms agreed. Fee apparently around £38 million plus add-ons. PSG paid 50 million for Ugarte this time last year, so they effectively want to try and get back as much of that money as possible, whereas Manchester United see an opportunity here to get a player of Ugarte's quality for a cut price deal, because PSG want to sell, they want to bring in money, they effectively have a £50 million player who sat on the bench, not getting game time and unhappy, so they are willing to do a deal. But keeping on the topics of PSG, I wanted to move over to Javi Simons, and I wanted to get everybody in the comments section's thoughts on Javi Simons this morning. Manchester United have apparently reached out to PSG to find out the information on the deal for Javi Simons. PSG are apparently saying they want to do a loan with an obligation to buy. I really, really don't know how much Javi Simons would be worth in the current market. It's really, really hard to predict. PSG paid €4 million for him 1 season ago from PSV, so they didn't pay very big money for him, to be honest. But obviously his rise from that point has been absolutely crazy. You know, he is an unbelievable talent, Javi Simons. Would I like to see him at Manchester United? Yes, I think he'd be a quality signing. And the thing I like about Javi Simons is, obviously he's very young, he's got a lot of potential and all the rest of it, but he's worked with Ruud van Nistelrooy before. For anybody who doesn't realise, Javi Simons last season, sorry, not the season just gone, the season before that, was on loan at PSV. And at that point, PSV's manager was Ruud van Nistelrooy. So Ruud van Nistelrooy, our new assistant manager, and Javi Simons already have a very close relationship. They already know each other. They've already worked together well. So I think it would be a really, really clever signing if we could get it over the line. Obviously, Erik ten Hag is very keen to bring in Javi Simons as well. That's what's been reported widely. Apparently, like, he's one of their number one targets, people have been saying. So let's wait and see what happens with that one. But obviously, let me know your thoughts about Javi Simons in the comment section. Would you like to see him at Manchester United? Do you think we need Javi Simons? And where would he actually play within that team? Because the thing you have to remember with Simons is, right, he is very, very versatile and he can operate across that whole attacking line. And I think if we are going to change formation, which is what some people are saying, to this 3-4-2-1, then Javi Simons easily slots into that team. Because you have 2 attacking midfielders then, don't you? And Javi Simons is an attacking midfielder. But obviously then you have to say what's going to happen to Mason Mount. If you have Javi Simons, Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount, who starts? Because Bruno's going to start every single game unless he's injured. And he's only been injured, I think, once in 4 years at Manchester United. So Bruno Fernandes is going to be there. And then who do you pick between Javi Simons and Mason Mount? Because only one you can't have 3 central attacking midfielders playing in the same team, I don't think. So yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a bit of a hard decision for Erik ten Hag there. Obviously, there is still the potential that, you know, a Saudi club comes in for Bruno Fernandes with a massive offer and they move him on. But at this point, I would be very, very surprised if Bruno Fernandes left the club. He's the club captain. He wants to stay at Manchester United. He's publicly said that he wants to stay. He's publicly said that if Manchester United want to keep him, he doesn't want to go. So I would be shocked if Bruno Fernandes left the club this summer. But obviously anything can happen in football, you know, like anything can happen. And if he did go, I think Javi Simons would be an interesting replacement, but I don't think he's as good as Bruno Fernandes, to be honest. But then if you look at it in a fair, balanced way, Bruno Fernandes is 30 next month and Javi Simons has just turned 21. So could Javi Simons become the player Bruno Fernandes is in the future? Yes, of course he can. He has bags of potential, but the emphasis on that is it's potential. You know, Bruno Fernandes is probably our only world-class player. And some might even argue that Bruno Fernandes isn't world-class, but I think I probably would put him in that category. Whereas Javi Simons is still just a talent, isn't he? He's not of that level yet. And he might come in and he might struggle. It might be another Memphis Depay who comes, doesn't settle into the league, and the next thing you know, he goes to somewhere else, you know? So that is a possibility. But we'll wait and see what happens with that one. Obviously, you can keep letting me know what you would you go for Javi Simons? Reg is saying, apparently, I've heard that it's a 70 million obligation to buy for Javi Simons. I've not seen that before, mate, but fair enough. Thank you for your contribution. I wasn't aware of that. What does everybody think about that then? 70 million pounds, apparently, obligation to buy. I think it seems like a lot. But as I said, he has bags of talent. Javi Simons could, emphasize the word could, become one of the best players in the world in the next 3, 4, 5 years. But at the moment, he is still just a very, very good talent who obviously has taken the world alight. But yeah, you just don't know, do you? You don't know how players are going to gel in a new country, in a new league, with new teammates, with new management styles, etc., etc. But the bit that kind of gives me confidence about Javi Simons working at Manchester United is the fact that, as I said, he's worked with Ruud van Nistelrooy before at PSG. we've pretty much got, we've got a whole Dutch management team. We've got Rene Haak, Erik ten Hag, and Ruud van Nistelrooy, who are all Dutch. So yeah, I think it would work quite well. But obviously, yeah, let me know what you think. Would you like to see Javi Simons at Manchester United? I personally would prefer just a loan deal. Just gonna have a sip of my tea. I think a loan deal would probably make more sense, but again, that's just my opinion. If you disagree, you can let me know in the comment section below. Would you like to see Javi Simons at Manchester United? Okay, let's move on to this La Liga player. We did a video about him last night, and I tried to pronounce his name, and people are always laughing at me about my pronunciation, but I'm going to try my best here for you, all right? So the guy's name is Viktor Tsygankov. Hopefully I've said that right. He is Ukrainian international player. Currently plays his football for Girona. He's got a £25 million release clause. And the interesting thing with this player is he has the same agent as Erik ten Hag. Now, I know some people are going to be rubbed up the wrong way by this. I know some people think that Erik ten Hag is buying his whole agency and bringing them to Manchester United. For anybody who doesn't know, Erik ten Hag's brother works at an agency called SEG. It's the same agency that Erik ten Hag's on. It's the same agency as Rasmus Hojlund's on. Apparently, there was some murmurs that Omari Forson was approached by this agency and didn't sign, and that's why Erik ten Hag got rid of him. I don't know how true that is, but that's like a bit of gossip that's been kind of floating around. But yeah, so this guy, Viktor Tsygankov, 26 years of age. He is predominantly a right winger, but he can also play as an attacking midfielder and a left winger. He's got a £25 million release clause, which I think is pretty good. He helped Girona get to Champions League last season. Obviously, they had a very, very good campaign in La Liga, Girona. He got 8 goals and 7 assists in 30 games last season. So he averaged a goal or an assist every other game last year, which was, I think, really, really good. I'll be honest, I don't watch much La Liga, so I've only seen like compilation clips of him and stuff. But do I think £25 million is good for a player with these types of stats and these types of attributes? I think it is. I think it's good money. If we do end up selling Jadon Sancho or Mason Greenwood, we probably will need to bring in another right wing option. But yeah, let me know what you think. Everyone's saying I got the pronunciation wrong. If someone knows how to pronounce this guy's name properly, please let me know in the chat and I will try and read it again. Viktor Tsygankov. Someone's saying Tsygankov. It's Tsygankov, apparently. Viktor Tsygankov. I'm trying my best here. But yeah, so apparently Erik ten Hag has spoken to the player directly, but I don't think we need to blow that out of proportion. That's effectively because he's got the same agent as Erik ten Hag. So it could have literally been as simple as he speaks to his agent and says, are you interested in coming to Manchester United? Yes. And that might be the extent it's got to. But there does seem to be a genuine interest in this player, though. And I think, obviously, with this really, really good release clause of 25 million, it makes it a much more easier deal to do for Manchester United. And yeah, so this is being reported by Manchester Evening News. It's on the BBC website this morning. It's being widely reported that Manchester United are interested. Apparently, Arsenal are also interested in him as well. So there is a genuine interest in this player. Obviously, Donny van der Beek's just joined Girona as well. So we've got that sort of relationship between the two clubs. It is worth noting that obviously Girona is owned by Manchester City, isn't it? Which is something that I think a lot of people forget. But if there's a release clause, I don't really see what they can do about it. Like, yeah, I don't really understand how they could block the deal, because if we trigger the release clause and the player says he wants to come to Manchester United, then it is what it is, isn't it? And we sign them. So, yeah. Joe says, Kieran, if United were to play with a lone striker, who would be your choice, Hojlund or Zirkzee? Oh, that's a really, really good question. That's a horrible question to ask on a Sunday morning. I'm going to do a poll. Thanks for your question. Whilst I'm setting up the poll, if everyone could do me a little favour and smash a like, that would be really, really appreciated. We've got over 900 people watching now, which is amazing. Let's try and hit 1,000 likes on today's show. And if this is your first time watching, don't forget to subscribe as well. We are on the road to 30k. We're getting very, very close. And I am going to be giving out 2 of the new Manchester United shirts once we hit 30k. So please go and do that. And I'm going to... So Joe, who is a member of the channel, a regular on the channel, has asked a $1 million question. And I'm going to echo it back to the chat. So the question I've got for you today is, thank you for this, Joe, is if Manchester United were to play with only one striker, who would be your choice? You can only pick Hojlund or Zirkzee. Okay, let me just get that poll going for you. 1 second, everybody. Who will be your choice? I'll give my answer in a minute. I've just copied and pasted what the person in the chat said, so hopefully people understand. If Manchester United were to play with one lone striker, who would be your choice? I would go with Hojlund, to be honest. I think next season Hojlund's going to be unbelievable. We've seen the potential in Rasmus Hojlund, and I think... if I had to pick, like, say we're going to go and play, I don't know, somebody at home and, you know, we have to win the game, I think you can probably more rely on Rasmus Hojlund at this stage because Zirkzee is going to be at his first season. He's going to be with new teammates, a new country. You know, it's going to be, it's going to take him time to adapt. It's not going to be an immediate straight in there. And the thing you have to remember as well with Joshua Zirkzee is he actually plays a lot as a false nine. He isn't as much of an out-and-out striker. He is a striker, but from what I've read, Manchester United see Zirkzee as a player who can operate in a few different positions across the front three. If you watch his build-up play and how he brings other people into the game, he is absolutely elite at it. Whereas I think Rasmus Hojlund is still learning that kind of element to his game. So I would personally go with this. If we were doing a 3-4-2-1, which is apparently what some people are saying Erik ten Hag's going to try in pre-season, I would have Hojlund as the striker, and then I would have probably Bruno and Hojlund in just behind him. And then in midfield, I would probably have Kobbie Mainoo and Mason Mount. Something like that. That's what I would probably do. I mean, that's very attacking because... you know, usually we play with 2 CDMs and you're going to just Kobbie Mainoo. And so, yeah, let me do that quickly, right? If it was my dream situation and we were doing this 3-4-2-1 that's been mentioned, I would go with De Ligt, Martinez and Lenny Yoro, if we could get him, right? Those would be my back three. I'd go with Luke Shaw as the left wing back, Diogo Dalot as the right wing back. In the midfield, I'd have Mason Mount and Kobbie Mainoo. Then I'd have Bruno and Hojlund as the two kind of... Hojlund. I would have Bruno and Zirkzee as the two kind of number 9s, and then I'd have Zirkzee as the striker. No, Hojlund as the striker. I'm getting confused now, but you get the general idea. The only thing with this 3-4-2-1 is I don't really see how all the players are going to be able to fit. Like, where does Garnacho and Rashford fit in a 3-4-2-1? Because they would have to play as wing backs. Do we think that Rashford and Garnacho would even be able to operate as wing-backs? I'm not sure if they would. I think Garnacho would, to be fair. But I'm not sure about Rashford. And this isn't me slagging off Rashford. I'm like, let's just all be fair. Defensive attributes are not Rashford's thing, are they? You know, going forward, Rashford is very good, but defensively, he's not very good. So, yeah, it's a pretty difficult one. I guess, arguably, you could play Rashford behind the striker, you know? Okay, let's see what else we've got planned for the show today. Somebody says, is there any solid interest in Casemiro from Saudi and how far are the negotiations? Thank you for your question. In relation to Casemiro, there are lots of clubs in Saudi who are apparently speaking to Manchester United and speaking to Casemiro's agents about a potential move. I don't know. It's a really difficult one with Casemiro, to be honest, because apparently Casemiro is open to moving to Saudi. This was reported by Fabrizio Romano a couple of days ago. But he wants big, big money. He's on 350k a week as it stands at the moment. So I imagine big money would be 700 to £1 million a week. You know, he's going to want to be up there with the top earners in the Saudi Pro League. Obviously, Ronaldo earns ridiculous money, doesn't he? I think he earns like 2 million a week or something, doesn't he? So I don't think he's going to earn that, but it all depends on what the contract offer on the table is. Yeah, so at the moment, Cristiano Ronaldo earns just under 4 million euros a week. Benzema earns 2 million euros a week. Neymar earns 2 million euros a week. Riyad Mahrez earns €1 million a week in the Saudi League. I mean, that is mental. Even Kante earns 500 grand a week. So, yeah, he's going to want big money if he's going to go to Saudi. So, effectively, we need to see what offers come in. We need to see what the proposal is on the table, because as it stands at the moment, there's just lots of interest in players. Sorry, lots of interest in Casemiro. And we all know that interest doesn't necessarily mean that a deal is actually going to happen. So, is there interest? Yes. Is Casemiro open to going? Yes, this has just been reported by Fabrizio a couple of days ago, and he says that negotiations are ongoing. But it all depends on the project. It depends on which club wants him, how much money they're willing to pay him, how long the contract's going to be. So, yeah, I would say, I don't know. I still think Casemiro will leave, and I think that we'll then sign Ugarte as his replacement. That would be my prediction. But if Casemiro wasn't to leave, I think we'll probably sign Amrabat. Let me know what you think about that theory. Amrabat's only going to cost 12 million. And I think that Manchester United are relying on Casemiro going in order to be able to spend big on a new midfielder. So I think, yeah, if Casemiro stays, I reckon Man United will probably sign Amrabat for 12 million. If Casemiro goes, they'll probably try and sign Ugarte and Amrabat. So yeah, it's impossible for me to give you a 100% answer on Casemiro at this stage. There is interest, talks are ongoing, but, you know, only he knows what's going on in his head. Only Casemiro and his family can decide whether moving to Saudi is the best thing for his career. Obviously, he's not in the Brazil squad anymore. I do think his career is kind of coming to an end, being completely honest. He's 32 years of age now. He does look like his legs have gone. So yeah, obviously I'll keep you updated on that one. Apparently Al Ittihad and Al Nassr are the two clubs that are most interested in him. Obviously he's back in training at the moment. He'll be part of the team for the pre-season. So yeah, it's one to keep an eye on. But as it stands, there's no like advanced talks for Casemiro to leave Manchester United. It's just negotiations, you know, finding out what's available. Somebody says, if Casemiro leaves this summer, do you think we will sell McTominay? I don't know. Probably not, to be honest. I think with a lot of these questions, right, it all depends on what offers on the table, because I can't really answer whether we'll sell McTominay or not. If we get a bid from Fulham, who are apparently interested, for 40 million, 50 million, I'm sure Manchester United would be open to selling him. But if we get a bid of like 10 million, they're not going to do it. So, and I know that's a little bit of an obvious thing to say, but it's impossible really to give, you know, a prediction until we know what offers are available. Maybe McTominay doesn't want to leave Manchester United. Maybe he says, I want to stay. Like, it's very, very hard to predict. I feel like if I'm going to give my kind of opinion, which is just an opinion, take in mind, I feel like McTominay would want to stay at Manchester United. I feel like he doesn't mind being like a squad player and all the rest of it. He's been here his whole career. He has only got 1 year left of his contract though, so maybe if Manchester United refuse to give him a new contract, he might consider leaving. We'll have to wait and see. It's all if, buts and maybes at the moment. Yes. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat quickly. I'm just going to check if there's any other breaking news as well since we've been live. We've got over 950 people watching live now. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for this morning's show. So if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel and like the video as well. Completely free content. We're live every day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6. As I said, today and yesterday, the weekend always is a bit... Obviously, weekend people have lives, you know, they go out and they're not working. So it kind of messed up my schedule. So 7:30 was a better time for me to do today. But I will be live at 8:30 tomorrow, as normal. So yes, let's have a look if there's anything else that's broken since we've gone live. It's usually quite quiet on a Sunday morning, to be fair, because I think a lot of the kind of, you know, the mainstream journalists are probably not working as much, are they? Obviously, we know about Willy Kambwala, who is apparently going to do his medical at Villarreal today. So I wish Willy Kambwala all the best. Manchester United will receive 11.5 million euros, which I think is decent. Plus, there is also a sell-on clause and a buyback option for Manchester United. So I wish Willy Kambwala all the best. He's doing his medical today. We should get, the official Manchester United statement that Willy Kambwala's left. Probably by the end of today, if not tomorrow. So that's good. I'm happy for him. He'll go to Villarreal. He'll be a first-team starting player. So yeah, fair play to Willy Kambwala, and hopefully he becomes the player that we all think he can be. Because I definitely think there's a really, really talented player there in Willy Kambwala. I do. I just think at the moment, we have so many options in that centre-back position. Even without signing anybody, we've got Lindelof, Maguire, Johnny Evans, Martinez. You've got Luke Shaw, who can play as left-sided centre-back. We've got so many options there. The final story I wanted to talk to you about as well, actually, is on Jadon Sancho. How is everyone feeling about Sancho? Now that the dust has settled, now that everyone's calmed down a little bit, how do you feel about the news that Jadon Sancho is back in training? Apparently, he's apologised to Erik ten Hag. And I'll be honest, right? It sounds like he's been the bigger man. He's gone back to Manchester. He sat down with Erik ten Hag. He's had what's been described as positive talks. Apparently, he's apologised. And apparently, he's available for first team training. And he's available for selection in games. How do you feel about that now? The reason I bring it up is that apparently Juventus, Dortmund and other clubs around Europe have not given up on signing Jadon Sancho. This is coming out from Sky Sports. They continue to say that but both of those teams would struggle to meet his valuation. As it stands, the plan for Jadon Sancho is to play full part in pre-season. My stance on Jadon Sancho is this, okay? If Manchester United can get 30, 40 million, 40, 50 million actually, for Jadon Sancho, you sell him. But the fact of the matter is we can't. We've been trying to sell him for the last month. Dortmund say they don't have any money, even though they just got to a Champions League final. That doesn't make sense. They clearly don't want him if they're not willing to pay 40 million. Juventus are in the Champions League. They have money. They apparently can't afford him either. There isn't really any other option. The alternative is that we loan him out. And apparently loaning him out would have meant us paying half of his salary, which I actually think is worse. I would rather Jadon Sancho's at Manchester United, training with the first team, being involved in games, hopefully contributing, getting goals and assists, and then we'll happily pay his salary. But for him to be off in another country and us paying his wages, and for him to still be at feud with Erik ten Hag, I don't really see the positive in that. Because what Manchester United need to do over this season, and I think they are, is unite the fan base, because there's always divide in the fan base, and they need to stop all of these toxic stories. And Jadon Sancho was one of the toxic stories. It was something that Erik ten Hag was asked about constantly. It was something that we were discussing as a community constantly. And everyone has an opinion. Some think that Erik ten Hag was wrong. Some think that Jadon Sancho was wrong. So I'm actually glad that this situation's been resolved, one way or another. Do I still think that he should be sold? Yes. But effectively, we can't sell a player who no one's offering any money for. So I'm actually all right with it. And you know what? I hope that Jadon Sancho has a good season this year. I hope that him and Rashford have a good season this year. Is it a coincidence that Rashford had his worst season last season when Jadon Sancho wasn't here? I mean, some people have said that. We know that Jadon and Marcus are best friends. Does that mean they have a weak mentality? Yes, maybe it does. But, let's not bother going down that route. Jadon Sancho is back. Let's hope that him and Rashford have an amazing season. And maybe then in the next kind of 1 or 2 years, if we want to move him on, we will be able to do that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what other people think about Jadon Sancho this morning. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat today. Somebody saying that Juventus want Sancho. Yeah, the problem is, mate, right? There are teams that want Sancho, but they're just not willing to pay what Man United want. And we paid 73 million for Jadon Sancho, 3 seasons ago. Even selling him for 40 million still seems like a bit of a bad situation, So yeah, I'll obviously keep you updated what happens with Sancho, but as it stands, he's back in training. He won't be available for the game tomorrow against Rosenborg, apparently, but he will be available for the game against Rangers, which is, I think, on Friday. Let me double check. I probably would do a watch along for both these games. So if people are interested in a watch along, let me know. I know lots of other channels do watch alongs, and Like, if you enjoy watching somebody else's watch along, like, that's completely fine. You know, I have no issue whatsoever. Like, I want to do content that I enjoy, and I want to do content that you enjoy. And if you enjoy watching other people's watch alongs, then that's like completely fine. You know, I have no issue with that whatsoever. Like, I enjoy speaking to you every morning and doing these shows, whereas watch alongs are quite hard. Like, it's quite weird to like know that you're being watched for like 3 hours whilst you're watching a football game. And the other thing as well, when I do watch alongs, I like swear and stuff, and like, I don't know, I'm a bit more animated, and I don't know. I just think it's maybe not as good. But yeah, so we play Rosenborg tomorrow at 5, and then we play Rangers on Saturday at 4. So we've got 2 big games coming up. I probably will do watch-alongs for both those games just to try it out, and we'll see how we get on. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you very much for joining me on the show today. We'll be back to normal at 8:30 tomorrow. So we'll have a show at 1:30 today, a show at 6 today, and then the morning show will be back to 8:30 tomorrow. As I said, on the weekends, it's always going to be a little bit all over the place on the weekends, because effectively I'm going to go out and do things, whereas in the week I'm at my computer all day, so I can just do them at set times. So yeah, I'll try and you know, commit to a certain time for the morning every day. But like yesterday, I had to go to the hospital. I couldn't do it at 8:30. It was impossible. I had an appointment at the hospital at 8:45. So like, yeah, I still want to make sure I do you a show every single morning, and that was the best time to do it. So I'll always give you a heads up if I'm going to change the show times. But in the week, it will always be 8:30, 1:30, 6. But on the weekends, there's always the potential it might be at a different time. It will always be in the morning, though. But anyway, I hope that clears it up. Have a great day, everybody. Please make sure to smash a like on your way out. Please subscribe to the channel if this is your first time watching. I'll be back at 1:30 for a lunchtime update. Have a lovely Sunday, everybody, and I'll speak to you all in a few hours' time. Bye for now.